Mr. Chair. Welcome, Assistant Attorney General Kanter.
Thank you.
The United States has a long history of fighting against trusts. And in fact, there was a debate during the drafting of the Constitution about trusts, and we even, our country's history goes back to fighting against the East India Company, and certainly many Americans have heard about the Tea Party. They haven't heard about the antitrust side of the Tea Party, but they've heard about the taxation side of the Tea Party. But in 1788, Thomas Jefferson wrote to James Madison, "It is better to abolish monopolies in all cases than not to do it in any," to which Madison replied, "Monopolies are sacrifices of the many to the few. Where the power is in the few, it is natural for them to sacrifice the many to their own penalties and corruptions." When I was in law school, I took a class on antitrust and remember absolutely nothing from that class. But I do remember there was a case in that town, small town, where 6 gas station owners would get together on Monday morning and they would set the price for gasoline at the retail pumps in town. They owned almost all of the retail pumps. And you would be surprised to learn that they set the price above the price that was prevalent in other areas, and they made more profit as a result of that little coffee they had. They were prosecuted by the Department of Justice, and I said prosecuted. They were criminally charged by the Antitrust Division, and that stopped, and prices came down. Not a revolutionary thought to most of us, but the work of the Antitrust Division for well over 100 years has been instrumental in the prosperity that we enjoy in this country because of the competition that has been spurred by that. I want to just go over a couple of cases and just get a quick answer before I ask you a more general question. But Standard Oil case in 1911, did it increase competition, reduce prices?
Yes.
What we refer to, the U.S. Steel case, 1948, increased competition, reduced prices for consumers?
Yes, sir.
How about the Ma Bell case, 1983?
That one too.
And one of our favorites, because it happened when we were all sort of thinking about post-Reagan, Bork antitrust enforcement, but the Microsoft case in 2000.
Yes, antitrust has spurred not just lower prices, but more innovation.
So I do remember some things from my constitutional law class, and I do remember that in Article 1, the power is given to Congress to legislate, and not to the Article 3 courts. I have a vague memory, and some people, based on a vote that I took yesterday, are saying that I've lost my mind, but am I right in that?
I seem to recall that your articulation of the Constitution is correct.
In general principles,
Yes.
principles. So who developed the consumer welfare standard?
It was not Congress.
It was the courts.
Which one? So if you asked 5 antitrust lawyers, what is the consumer welfare standard, you'll often get 6 different answers.
Okay.
A standard isn't a standard unless everyone agrees as to what it is.
But you won't find a single statute where the consumer welfare standard is defined.
That is correct.
And we now have a much different economy than we had 50 years ago, 30 years ago, with the advent of e-commerce and really online everything. In fact, if you had been here a year and a half ago, this probably would have been online with members participating virtually in this hearing. Based on that drastic change in the economy, has Congress kept up with its duty to legislate?
So I take very seriously, and consistent with your words earlier, that it's ultimately up to Congress to determine how to legislate and to write the law. As an enforcer, it's our job to enforce the law as you write it. And so I deeply respect that division, and we will make sure that we are enforcing the law and using our taxpayer resources to bring about the vision that Congress sets forth in its statutes.
My memory from being in DOJ years ago is that I think there are 93 districts, judicial districts in the United States?
Yes.
Oh, good, I have a good memory. And in those 93 districts, if you went to each of the district courts and asked for a ruling on cases, you would get a variety of answers. But if you come to Congress and ask for an answer on big tech, you'd get one. What is the need for, and what would you prioritize in terms of our job to legislate on big tech?
So again, I want to be very deeply respectful that ultimately it's the prerogative of Congress to write the law, and it's our job to enforce the law as you write it. From time to time, we provide technical assistance or views with respect to pending legislation. We did that in the last Congress, including with respect to legislation that you sponsored, providing our input. But as I said before, and as you indicate from your questions, it is extremely important that in antitrust law, we respect that it's the words of Congress, that Congress writes the law and we enforce the law as written by Congress and ultimately interpreted by the Supreme Court.
I yield back. Thank you.